Welcome on in, everybody, to part 2 of the upcoming scenarios breakdown series that I have just started. This, unlike some of my other series that have been kind of pushed to the back burner for a while, is one I plan on actually doing the releases for every single day. So specifically today, we are going to be doing a career run of the next scenario called Grand Live. Now, this is a very, very unique and interesting Umamusume scenario, as it is very much not race oriented. Now, you do have to do races throughout the career. Naturally, you will be increasing your stats just like you would normally. However, the focus on the achievements and the tasks at hand are all idol related. The point of the game is to reach a certain amount of expectations in your idol performances and also do trainings for specific songs, dances, passion, vocal, visual, and mental aptitudes that have been added to this game mode, which we will go into a bit more as we go through this career. Another thing to keep in mind is, unlike the Make a New Track scenario, this one does have a scenario link with characters. The characters with the scenario link are the ones on screen right now: Silent Suzuka, Agnes Tachyon, Smart Falcon, Bourbon, Nihono Bourbon, and Light Hello, who is a Umamusume specific character that they created for this event. So let's go ahead and hop on over to our scouting real quick. I will cut that part out. I'm going to try to get some more useful support cards, as this account is currently lacking. I know we're not aiming for any super high stats or ratings or anything like that in these breakdowns, but it would be nice to achieve higher rankings and also kind of build upon this Japanese server account. So I will see you when we're back at the character selection page. So we are using Sakura Chiho for our scenario playthrough here, and we really only have these two options. I think if I take a look here, I can actually use a different one here. Let's see if we can't pick a better Uma here. We got a Mambo. There we go. Better stat increases. We'll go ahead and use all of these for our legacy characters. I know Mambo, obviously, but I don't have all the other Japanese server character names down yet, but that's okay. So let's go ahead, pick some decent support cards here. For our scenario link, I am going to be going ahead with a Agnes Tachyon. She does have the scenario link, so we got a wit link there. And then for our speed links, we don't really have anything. As you can see, our support cards are very limited. We don't have very good ones, so we're gonna make do with what we got. We'll do the 3 speed, 3 wit here, which should be enough to get us through this scenario. We've done it a couple times, so let's check it out.
いいじゃないか。ライブという要素には検討の余地がある。私はいただいた指示に従います。
私にはわかりません。そもそもライブが必要なのかどうかも。私はこのグランドライブで思いをつなぎたい。つなげ、照らせ、光る。
And there is the intro for you. Let's go ahead and choose to skip some of the dialogue options, as we're not going to go breaking down all of those right now. So here comes our legacy inspiration. One of the biggest changes to take into account is that legacy inheritance can actually raise your stat caps. So for blue star inheritance, 1 star will increase your stat cap by 4, 2 stars by 2, 2 stars by 9, and 3 stars by 16. So you can get up to a 48-point stat cap increase with 9 blue stars in any single legacy character. Greens will also increase your stat caps, but that will depend on their level of inheritance, and there are so many of them, so it will really take into account their special bonuses to determine their stat caps, and there are so many to cover when it comes to the green skills, so we will leave those alone until the official US and or global release. Just like any new scenario, the very beginning is pretty standard. We're going to want to train up some of our support cards until the actual scenario events start taking place. So here are our new team members, and what that means is we officially have the beginning of the grand live event here. So in the top left corner here, this is your expectation gauge. This is going to determine the success of your official concerts. And when you have these events and or concerts, if you have a maximum expectation gauge, you are guaranteed success, and having the guaranteed success or succeeding in general will give you tons of extra bonuses. Now down here, we have our specific types of trainings that we can do. These are going to be things like learning songs and learning dances, and these will play heavily into the coins that we achieve. In order to get coins, we have to increase these levels. These stand for dance, passion, vocal, visuals, and mentals. You increase these by doing trainings with certain characters. So as you can see, it's kind of set up sort of like the Unity Cup, and all of these stats will have a certain percent chance of actually providing increased stats in the aptitudes that they show here. So for instance, when we are on speed has a chance of doing dance and or visual. Power has a chance of doing vocal and or mental. Power has a chance of Stamina has a chance of passion and or vocal. Power has a chance of vocal and or mental. Guts has a chance of visual and or dance. And then wit has a chance of mental or passion. And I may have misspoken. It's not and or, it's just or. And there is a 60-30 split on which one you will have a chance to actually train here. So if we want to start focusing on our dance tokens, we would train dance here. And you'll see we'll get plus 13 tokens. And they are capped off currently at 200. Now that we have some dance tokens, if we take a look here, we can see that certain trainings will require a certain amount of tokens. If we want to learn this song, we need to have 10 dance tokens. If we wanted to do this one, we need 10 vocal tokens. This one right here, that provides a skill hint as opposed to a stat increase, is going to require 15 visual tokens, which we don't have, so it's currently blocked off. So right now, let's go ahead and test out the training of one of our songs. And doing these trainings are going to also increase our expectation. We now have our second available trainings here. And unfortunately, when we pick one, it resets. We don't have the tokens to actually do any of these right now. So we need to go back and do some more training. So let's go ahead and focus on these. If we want to get some visual tokens, we currently cannot do that. So let's get some mental. So now that we have earned quite a bit more tokens, and we did go through the junior debut, but I didn't show that because the junior debut in this sense of the scenario is exactly the same as any other scenario. So no changes there. And now that we are approaching our very first event, we have learned some tech. We have learned some we have done some training and now it's time to learn a technique. So right here we have the run technique. It sounds like a devil fruit, but this is when we can officially do our expectation increase. So let's go ahead and do that. And that is going to increase the chance of a successful event. Now we can do one other training. In this case, we're going to do a speed one. Our speed's rather low. So we did a speed training and now we'll do another speed training. And here comes the next ability to learn a technique. So one thing to keep in mind is there are cycles for how many trainings it takes to get to learn a technique. There is a lot of content in this scenario, and it will take people a bit to learn. Essentially, at the beginning of the career, it takes 2, then it takes 3, then it takes 4, then it takes 4, and then it goes into a cycle where now it will take 2, then 2. And this is before the first promo. Before the second, we'll get 2 trainings, then 3 trainings, then 4 trainings, and then it will go into a cycle of 2, 2, 2, 4, 5, 2, 2. Now these sound like a lot of numbers, and for the most part, these are not things you're really going to need to memorize. They'll kind of come naturally. The after Grand Live, or the before the Grand Live, the third segment before the event has a different cycle as well. But just keep in mind, as long as you're keeping pretty balanced coins between your trainings, you should be able to accomplish all of these and get your expectations up to maximum prior to doing any form of event. So right here, if I'm looking at the next skill that we can potentially learn, this one down at the bottom, we're pretty much there with our speed or our dance technique coins, but we are just shy on the visual. So if we can get 12 coins in visual, we should be able to learn a new technique before the upcoming event. So let's take a look. We don't have a visual one yet, so let's do a wit training here. And now we'll see if we get a visual. There we go. We have visual on guts. It is 13, so we're gonna go ahead and take that, and that will give us just enough points to now go into the shop and do our next technique training and max out our expectations, which will guarantee a successful event. So let's go back and do 2 more turns before the first event. So here we are at our very first event, and this is a big one because we did fill up our expectation gauge. So here's what we're looking at. This is our live bonuses updated. And what these 3 are the bonus effects that we get for doing the successful event. So we get a plus 55% to the effectiveness of friendship training. We get a increased 35 points in success rate, and we are now at a level 6 for support consecutive event rate increase. So these are all bonuses that will go into our career by doing these trainings. Now we could do some more trainings, but we don't actually need to since we have a fully maxed gauge. So let's go ahead, do the event, and we can see how this plays out. So as you can see here, we get major bonuses for completing an event successfully. This increased speed by 10, stamina, power, guts, and wit by 10. We also got 65 skill points and 1,000 additional fans. Another thing to note is that after each event, you do have a reset of the success gauge. As you could probably assume, it doesn't just stay full for the entire career. So we are going to need to do some more event training in order to get that up. So for instance, if I wanted to go ahead and do one of these stamina increases, we got a plus 5 to stamina. And then if we went ahead and did a speed, we should now get our ability to do one of the actual practice songs. And I believe I referred to them as techniques earlier, but these are the practice songs. The technique training is beforehand. So now we're going to take a look at the stats and see which one matches up with the stats that we currently have. So we have 9 and 20. We need 21, 21. We need 21, 21. We got 30 and 21. So getting a bit of the passion here, 1 point will be able to let us do a plus 5 practice song here. So let's go ahead and work towards getting a passion training in, which we have right here with a double event link here, and also are able to increase our friendship bonuses. Once we get some of those rainbow trainings in place, we'll also be able to get coins in each of these simultaneously. So if a rainbow training is going to train speed and stamina, we might get, dance and vocal coins as well, like that. We're going to go ahead and do one of our event practice songs here, and that's going to increase our success gauge. It's technically called what do they refer to it as? It's technically called an expectation gauge. I just refer to it as the success gauge because it's your chance of succeeding. But that's just me. You can pretty much call it whatever you want. I doubt anybody's going to judge you for it. And we did have enough points in order to actually do a second training here. And this is going to get us 1/3 more of the way up to our success gauge. So let's go ahead and do that one. As you can see, it's sort of similar to Unity Cup. We have our strange different stats we have to increase that we get bonuses for, and there are many Link scenario characters. So it is important that we focus on Link scenario characters, but not as important as making sure we hit the deadlines for the successful stat coin increases that we're aiming for. So as you can see here, we did a bit more grinding within our coin system here, and we'll be able to continue doing some training here. I'm going to throw this one for the bonus plus 4 points there into stamina. This is also a +4 to stamina and guts. We'll take that as well. Oh, my mistake. We do not have the available coins, which is why it's important to note down what coins you actually need. Keep in mind, we are doing this remotely, so there's a bit of a lag for me. I'm trying my hardest to keep up with everything. And now we can take a look at the next practice song that we can do. So for the first one, we need 21 passion. We're kind of far off on that. We need 32 vocals. We're kind of far off on that. We got the 21 dance, and we are short a bit on the visual. So we need 24 visual points in order to do our next song. So we're going to focus on getting those 24 visual points. Keep in mind, we are still doing the races, so we want to make sure that we are keeping our stats to where we need them in order to complete these races. So we are here at our second event, and as you can see, our expectation meter is not quite there, but we were able to lock in just enough points right before this second event to be able to do the training and get this up to max. So let's go ahead and do that before doing our concert here. And now we have max potential for this concert. We'll be getting big buffs off of this. And now, since we have completed that second concert, we are at a new stat cap of 300. It goes up 50 every time, and now we're at 300. So that means if we wanted to, we could get some of these stats up to 300. However, we are going to play it safe. We got 11 turns in order to get them to where we need. So we're going to start off by taking a look at our available trainings here. We'll put some 4 points into strength. We'll put some skill points in here, and now we've unlocked a skill. And now we are shy of these. So we're going to kind of stack up our points for a bit and purchase them all at once. And there we are. We are headed into the third concert. We were able to max it out. We drained some of our coins by quite a bit, but we still have a pretty decent amount left over. So what we're going to do is take a rest here. That way we have good energy after the concert. We already know we're going to have a guaranteed success. So up next after this one is going to be the Grand Live. And let's do this concert, get our bonuses, and we'll be looking nice and good after this. Here we are at our fourth event, and we were able to get the points here to max out once again. This isn't a super difficult game mode as long as you pick your choices correctly. There is a lot of content to keep in mind. However, as long as you have a good even spread of these points, you kind of get a feel for which ones you're going to need in order to train. So we were able to max this out. Let's go ahead, continue on, and get this fourth concert done. All right, and we have made it to this next event here. Let's go ahead. As you can see, we have plenty of coins and everything, so we're going to go ahead and choose whichever ones are the least demanding as far as coins go, because our main focus right now is getting through this game mode. And then we'll give a quick summary of everything we've went over at the end here. So let's see here. We got our most points in dance. So let's go ahead and do this one. And now we got a 24. We can do the 15 in dance. We can do the 15 in mental. And that gave us skill. And then we can do, let's do the 12 and 32 split there in dance and visuals. So we are guaranteed to succeed here. Let's go ahead and get at it. And there you have it. That is the end of the scenario, but we still have the URA to race in. So let's go ahead, take a rest, and we'll spend these last 2 turns packing on some points. And there we go. We have officially allocated all of our points. We're headed into the finale. It's just a 2,000 meter race, so we should have no issues with this. In fact, we should probably be blowing the competition away. 6 whole lengths over Matikane Tannhauser, collecting all of our end game points here, and excellent. We are looking solid. We're going to make sure we don't have any other trainings we can do, which we do not. And let's buy some points or some skills. Oh my gosh. And there you have it, guys. That is a relatively simple S rank to achieve on this account. We were able to pull it off with Fleur Enege, however that's pronounced. I don't actually remember her name. She's in the anime, but regardless, that is not the point of this video. That is, in fact, everything to go over the grand live event. So I'm going to break down real quickly some key points to remember. So legacy inheritance will raise your stat caps. So make sure that you have good sparks, or you're at least choosing characters with good sparks, whatever stat that they're in when you are building these characters. Your scenario links are going to be Silent Suzuka, Agnes Tachyon, Smart Falcon, Mihono Bourbon, and Light Hello. 4 of them, Silence, Tachyon, and Smart Falcon and Bourbon, are going to be similar scenario links as those in the Unity Cup. But Light Hello, however, she should be the one that you do not recognize and is a completely made up character for the game, is a good one to make sure you are trading up friendship bonds with, as well as having a high friendship with her can proc an event that will actually increase your expectation gauge by 1 level, so 30%. What that will do is it will save you having to use those coins on any of the training or pre-song rehearsals, things like that, and you'll be able to focus them on stats. Now, another thing to take into account is when it comes to dance, passion, vocal, visual, and mental, the new aptitudes, I've found myself really needing more points in dance and mental the majority of the time that I have done these playthroughs. So if that occurs for you as well, it might be worth making sure that we are training Umas in those aptitudes when those trainings come up. You have a 60-30 chance split for the tokens. So there's a 60% chance that speed will be dance, but a 30% chance it will be on visual. The same applies to the rest of the skills. So for stamina, it's passion, vocal, power, vocal, mental, guts, visual, dance, and wit, mental, passion. So you're most likely going to get the former of the two. However, it is possible that those change. Now, if you are getting enough coins throughout your training, and you really should focus on making sure those coins stay high during your training, you won't really have to worry about the loops that they do. You know how it's 2 trainings, then 3, then 4, then 2, then 2, then 4, then 5. Things like that are for really, really hardcore players. So if you're just trying to get through, get a really good ranking like we did today, don't stress yourself out too much. Remember, it is a game. It's a game about anime horse girls. We don't have to stress ourselves too much over that. The expectation gauge does reset after the live, and the success of your songs will depend on the expectation level. So just make sure that before you go ahead and do your performance, that you're filling up that gauge. It's really not all that difficult. Just be smart about which trainings you choose. Yes, some trainings will give stats to certain aptitudes. However, it's most important that you are filling up that gauge. To train all available songs, you will need the following in these tokens: 252 in dance, 201 in passion, 150 in visual, 275 in mental. Or did I miss one? I missed one. 252 in dance, 201 in passion, 150 in vocal, 275 in visual, 196 in mental. Sorry about that. And the last thing to keep in mind is we haven't had one of these pop up yet in any of the guides. I did have one in just one of my Japanese server playthroughs, but the UG, we have gone beyond S rank stat caps. So speed can go up to 1600, stamina 1300, power 1300, guts 1500, and wit can go up to 1300. So expect some saucy career rankings. These are just going to get higher and higher. And while, you know, it doesn't really mean a whole lot when everybody is getting these higher rankings, I can't lie, it's still a good feeling. So anyways, I'd like to thank you all again for watching the video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for all future content. We have 8 more of these scenarios that we're covering, so stick around if you want to see the rest. I'd like to thank you all again for watching and hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.